Hello everyone, Chaos here, and welcome to another old school RuneScape video. Quick interruption, I got braces 2 weeks ago, so I'm sorry in advance if I sound different. Nearly 2 years ago, Jagex blessed us with a little rework to a few Wildy bosses, and thanks to that we also got solo versions for each of them in the form of Artio, Calvarion and Spindel. These are super simple in case you want decent GP, chances at expensive uniques, and of course super cute pets for your collection. In today's video, we'll go over how to dispose of them quickly, hoping to dodge PKers along the way. Boys and girls, this is the last video of October, so if you enjoy it, you would help me out tremendously by subscribing with notifications on, and dropping a fat like on the video. You can also join our Discord server with a link in the description to do group Wildy bosses with our amazing community. Just like my Slayer bosses video, we are doing a 3-for-1 for this newest upload, because none of these bosses are complex enough to get their own separate video. However, these have been on my list of ideas for a few months now, and it's finally time to cover them. This will be slightly different than the other bosses video, so let me know what you think. The only requirement you need to fight all 3 solo versions of these powerful Wildy bosses is completion of the medium Wildy diary. This was done to mitigate bots farming their uniques, and it's something you can do pretty early on. In order to have a more relaxing time at Artio, I recommend doing Desert Treasure 1 for access to the ancient spellbook. We will be using ice spells to lock the big bear in place and get away from those devastating melee attacks. Minimum stats I recommend to give these bosses a try or even do short Slayer trips on them are 70s in melee and ranged, as well as 70 magic to make use of the Ice Burst spell. To heavily increase your DPS and make even more KC per hour, bump those levels up to 80 or 85, including 74 prior to activate Rigor. A decent agility level to run around the Wildy will also be quite useful, and we don't have any Slayer level requirement for any of these. When it comes to Slayer, you can kill Artio on bear tasks, Calvarion on skeleton tasks, and Spindel on spider tasks assigned more commonly by Cristelia, Turiel, and Aya. If you unlock the perk called Like a Boss, any other high-level Slayer master will be able to assign Callisto, Vedion, and Venenatis. If this happens, you can carry out these tasks on the baby versions of the bosses, and they will count towards your task. One final thing about Slayer, Calvarion and Vedion skeleton Hellhounds count as, well, Hellhounds, and if you get them, you can also get Slayer experience from these. 2 final things you should know about these bosses is that you will be charged 50k every time you enter their lair. You will also need 20 KC in each of them to right-click the cave and see if anyone is already inside so you don't interrupt someone and know if you should hop a world before your trip. Before we get into the bosses themselves, I recommend a few Wildy specific plugins to increase your chances at survival in case you come across PKers. The first one is called Wilderness Player Alarm. When active, the screen will start flashing in any color of your choice as soon as another player appears on your screen. It is up to you to click your teleport as fast as possible. The second one is called the Wilderness Lines. This will show you multi-combat areas in the wilderness to avoid in case you're being chased, and it also paints a line at level 30 wilderness for you to know when you can use your teleport, such as a Royal Seed Pod. You can also configure it to show a line for level 20 wilderness in case you use other teleports like tablets. Finally, and if you have more money and are serious about these pet hunts, what you can do is have an alt account outside the cave and activate Wilderness Player Alarms just on that one. And your second account will notify you if there's someone outside the cave. Never get too comfortable though, because if people look like they are there on PVM gear, they can easily swap it and kill you. So watch out for anyone outside the caves. We are going to start with Artio. For minimum gear, take a dragon crossbow with ruby and diamond bolts, and take the cheapest ranged gear you will be okay with losing, like black dragon hide, mixed hide boots, amulet of glory, and an Avas assembler. Your inventory should consist of teleports, a looting bag, blighted ice axe, and a combination of potions and food you are comfortable with. The best setup includes a web weaver bow, and even without protect from item in case you get smited, get a necklace of anguish, Masori top, and bearer's gloves. Inventory should look pretty similar with blighted supplies, which are a lot cheaper than normal ones. The fastest way to get to Artio is by teleporting to Karalangar, a graveyard north of the Ferox Enclave. Run west and you'll find the entrance to Artio's lair called the Hunter's End. Right-click to see if anyone's there, and when you find an empty world, head inside. When next to you, he will swipe with a melee attack that hits through prayer, so freeze him as soon as possible. And use the spell whenever he starts walking towards you. When frozen, he will use a basic ranged attack for which obviously you want to pray against ranged. Artio also has a powerful magic attack, and when you see a white spell going your way, pray mage as soon as you can. If you do so before the spell gets to you, you'll be protected. Otherwise, this will knock you back and deal massive damage. Finally, at 66 and 33% health, Artio will spawn bear traps around the arena which you have to avoid. If you step on them, they will deal up to 15 damage. The fight is not super convoluted, but here we have a quick live KC to explain everything in detail. Okay fellas, our first stop is going to be Artio, and I'm going in there with positive magic bonus in order to catch the freezes, and I want you to turn on Protect from Item, ranged. If you have regular ranging potions, go ahead and use Preserve, but just turn on Rigor and you're going to do massive damage. So, as soon as you go in the cave, make sure there's no one in there. Go ahead and freeze Artio, and this is why I bring, these 3 items for a switch, because if you don't, then there's going to be a lower chance for you to catch the freeze, and you don't really want to run around. That is the magic orb, like the magic attack that looks like Wind Strike, I believe, so as soon as you pray magic, you have to do that before the projectile hits your character, and you're not going to be knocked back and be dealt massive damage. I like to take a step back in order to do this. I personally believe these switches are going to be very nice, because otherwise running around you're going to need more stamina potion and it is not going to be that great. You can use your special attack if you have it available, if you want to risk a little more and then you want to bring a light bearer, that's also fine. But as soon as you swap your magic, I would say gear correctly, this is all you need. Make sure to pray magic even if Artio is just about to die, because that could potentially knock you back even after his HP reaches 0. So, as you can see, the spawns are going to be extremely fast. You want to swap to your mage, I would say, like gear. And then we are going to rinse and repeat. So as you can see, just recording this, it takes, quite a bit. There we go, there's the magic hit. And just make sure to not be in melee range of this guy. Well, I mean, we achieved what I was here to show you, so enjoy the rest of the video. Depending on levels and gear, Artio is pretty generous with regular loot. Without uniques, we are looking at an average of 30 to 40k drops for up to 2 mil GP per hour, with a few expensive supply drops if not interrupted by PKers. The only expensive unique to look forward to is the Voidwaker Hilt, which is worth a 23 million GP at the time of making this video. And you have a 1 in 2,800 chance to get that cute Callisto Cub pet. We are moving on to possibly my favorite one, Calvarion. We will be tackling this boss with melee, and thankfully, the best weapon for this boss is pretty cheap. Sitting at under 7 million GP, the Ursine Chain Mace is the best way to dispose of the skeleton boss. Take a Salve Amulet E, Fire or Mythical Cape, Proselyte Defender, Barrow's Gloves, and Climbing Boots. Some upgrades for more DPS include a Fighter Torso, Avernic Defender, Ferocious Gloves, Dragon Boots, but honestly the Chain Mace is already powerful enough, so no need to risk too much. Copy as much of the inventory as you can, and focus on teleports, as well as stat and prayer boosting potions, and a bunch of food. The fastest way to get to Calvarion is also by teleporting to Karalangar. This time we'll be heading northeast, since the entrance to the lair is in the corner of the graveyard. Right-click to peek the cave, and when you see that nobody's inside, turn on those prayers and get ready for the fight. Oddly enough, Calvarion doesn't attack you directly, but has 3 mechanics that will persist throughout the entire fight. First, he will summon lightning, which damages a 3x3 area around the spot. Second, he will charge a shield attack, and you simply need to move 2 tiles away from it. If you don't, he deals up to 35 damage, and you won't be able to attack for up to 5 seconds. When he reaches 50% HP, he will summon 2 Hellhounds with 30 HP each, which you can dispose of rather quickly, and you're not going to be able to damage him directly until both of them die. When you finish him off, he will turn orange, his health will reset, and surround himself with lightning for which you can stand in the middle. You then have to do this the entire fight once again, and when he reaches 0 HP for the second time, the fight will be over. I will now give you a simple walkthrough of the encounter to see how easy it can be. Personally, my favorite encounter is Calvarion. This is what I'm wearing, as well as things in my inventory, and make sure to prioritize things that you would potentially lose if a PKer gets you. So I am going to go in with Protect from Item, Melee, and Piety. And like we said before, the interesting part about this boss is that he is not really going to damage you directly. As you can see, the only damage that you would be able to take from the boss himself is from the shield, as well as lightning that hits you in a 3x3 area. So as long as you move away, there's nothing to fear. The Hellhounds, however, are going to damage you with melee, and as you can see, they are pretty, I would say, weak. I am just one-hitting them, and I'm not even on a Slayer task. So, this is all we have to do in order to avoid damage. I like to keep Protect from Melee on, because, just turning it off and on back only when the Hellhounds are here, then, I mean, it's really not that bad, since we are wearing Proselyte. So, as we do this, make sure to kill the orange, I was gonna say purple, but no, they're not purple. Kill the orange Hellhounds, and when those are done, which should be dead in 1 or 2 hits, then you just go back to Calvarion. As you can see, my commentary doesn't really make a lot of sense, and it's a little fast-paced, because these fights are really, really easy. You just go ahead and, avoid the shield bash, avoid lightning, And as long as you don't take any damage from the Hellhounds, you're going to be able to stay here indefinitely. And yeah, so as you can see, a loot, like I said, or also like we will see, is not like the best one. But this is all we need to do for Calvarion. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, make sure to put that Salve Amulet and Ursine Chainmace to use as you're hunting for this beautiful pet. Calvarion is also pretty decent GP when it comes to loot, since the fight is pretty quick, and we are looking at average drops between 20 and 40k GP. Even without uniques, we're also looking at a maximum GP per hour of 2 mil if no PKers come knocking at your door. Calvarion drops the Void Waker Blade, which goes for 10 million GP as of the time of making this video, and you can land on that beautiful Vedion Jr. pet at a rate of 1 in 2800. The final baby Wildy boss is Spindel. We can pretty much copy the Calvarion setup with just a few variations. First, if you're on a Slayer task, you can actually wear the Slayer helmet, since the booster doesn't stack with the Salve Amulet. For the best setup, we have a brand new item in the form of Arania boots dropped from Araxites. We will talk about these soon, but since Spindel is also better fought with melee, the Ursine Chainmace continues to reign supreme. Don't forget your looting bag, teleports, potions, and of course food for both the fight and in case you run into PKers. The fastest way to get to Spindel is also by teleporting to Karalanger. This time we'll be exiting the graveyard and going north to find Spindel's lair in the northeast corner of this little area. Just like the other two, and after 20 KC, right-click the cave to see if there's nobody inside. Go in with Protect from melee and start whacking the spider ASAP. When near each other, she will deal basic melee hits, basic ranged hits which look like green blobs, and basic mage hits which look like little spider webs. Despite dealing high damage when hit, as long as you chase after Spindel in the cave, and you stay in melee range, you're not gonna have to worry too much about ranged and magic hits to save on food. Eventually, Spindel will throw a sticky web at your location, and lay a big spider web around you. If you stay in the area, you'll be rapidly damaged, but wearing the Arania boots will nullify this effect. Spindel moves so much that you will naturally move away from it anyway. For the final mechanic, and throughout the entire fight, Spindel will summon 2 spiderlings which will drain prayer whenever they hit you, and boost her damage as long as they're alive. I would say this is the most click intensive of the 3, so let's see how to take care of it in quick fashion. And finally for Spindel, we can pretty much copy Calvarion's setup, except we are bringing an Amulet of Torture, and leaving the Dragon Boots for Climbing Boots for that +1. Make sure to have the same protection prayers as before, protect from item, melee, piety, and of course bring your boosting potions as well as your staminas and your food. So what I want you to do right away is we are going to be following Spindel, I was going to say Venenatis, which technically same boss but different stats, and whenever the spiderlings spawn, I want you to kill them ASAP. As you can see, she can shoot those like green blobs or projectiles really quickly, that is going to be ranged, and they can also do a mage attack, which hopefully I can show you in a few seconds, but it is advised that you always protect from melee because that is going to be the strongest attack, and it's not really worth it switching prayers because you're always going to be following the spider around. This one is going to, there we go, those are, that is the projectile, and as you can see that was the mage attack, but that was also the spider web attack, which if you stand in this 5x5 area, you are going to take rapid damage anywhere between 3 and 5. And if the spiderlings also stay alive, which I didn't mention because I killed them really fast, if you notice if I'm not killing them, they are going to start draining my prayer, and that is not going to be what we want. So obviously you want to dispose of them ASAP, and as soon as you, I would say, kill them, whatever, go ahead and follow Spindel as fast as possible. As you can see, my commentary for all of 3 of these bosses was a little fast-paced because these 3 fights are really quick, and I mean, as soon as you, or I would say as long as you get them, like, you know, down really quickly, you're not really gonna have to think too much about it, especially this one, because you're going to be following Spindel around throughout the cave. Spindel is currently the most profitable of the baby Wildy bosses, not only because of her average drops being between 40 and 60k. But the Void Waker gem is currently the most expensive piece of the sword, coming in at 43 million GP at the time of making this video. She boasts the same 1 in 2800 drop rate for the Spiderling pet, which looks absolutely amazing. Boys and girls, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed and you learned something useful. If you did, tell me which of these 3 bosses is your favorite and why. And if you include the term RSN and your username in your comment, you'll be entered in our weekly bond giveaway, for which we will pick a winner on Friday's stream. I want to give a massive thank you to all the legends you see on screen for supporting the channel monetarily, all of which goes towards supporting my family in a third world country. If you want to be part of this wonderful group of people, click the join button below to see all the cool perks you can get for a monetary pledge in the videos, in the live streams, and of course in the Discord. In the next one, I want to do a little bit of brainstorming to see how much it costs to max an old school RuneScape account in 2024, going over all the gathering and production skills to reach all of those 99s. For now, I hope you have an amazing day, have an amazing week, and I will see you then. Peace.